So, yes, I think we are live, but I am still having trouble hearing you. Um, Jatin, can you give us a heads up if you are able to see us?
Just able to see me.
So, you're not able to see Pooja.
Yes, not able to see you.
Oh, okay, so I think they are not able to see you, but they're able to see me. Okay. So our guest is joining back. Let me see if I need to. Really? Got it. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to figure out how to add puja. Um, Let me give the link again because there's no other way I see. Okay, so Hi guys, it's just gonna be a minute. I'm just chatting with Restream. We are figuring out how to get Pooja to the studio, so it's just gonna be 2 3 minutes.
Oh, finally. Um, can you hear me? This is just insane because now I can't hear you.
You can
This
hear me, I guess, now because I was
Now I
muted.
can. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Wow.
sorry about that. We're gonna edit all of that, guys. But whoever is live, um, welcome to our stream. Apologies for the technical issues. So, first of all, how do I pronounce your name, or do I keep calling you Pooja? I don't want to spell it wrong.
Um, you can keep calling me Pooja, but there's two ways of spelling it.
It's okay.
Indians, or in India, you would say Sondarya. In America, they say Sondarya. But
Oh,
honestly,
wow.
that's I'm kind of glad that my brother kept the name Pooja right now because it's just so easy. You can get it wrong. So
Yeah, yeah, you can get it
Pooja works just
wrong.
fine.
That's true. But thank you so much for joining us. We are very excited for this conversation and looking forward to it. So, I think we have the audience. So, let's get started. Any which ways, we have some few minutes left for this. So, can you introduce yourself first? You're very famous, first of all, on LinkedIn. When I sent to the people,
Sure.
they were like, oh, yeah, we know her, especially people from Colombia. so,
Oh God.
so let's,
That's that's very sweet. Um, introduce myself? Okay.
yeah,
I've been playing around a lot with just how I introduce myself, and it's changed a lot over the
yeah,
years because I've
yeah.
taken different paths. Right now, I'm just gonna say that in the past, I used to be a researcher, product manager, graduate
Yeah.
student at Columbia, but forward looking, I'm hoping to consider myself a serious writer
Mm-hmm.
and also hopefully a solopreneur and a consultant. So, in terms of tags, that's how I would describe myself. But really, I'm just a very curious person who likes to read, take a lot of notes, play the guitar sometimes, and
Oh,
also
nice.
lately began climbing. That's kind of the succinct summary of the things that I'm doing on a daily basis right now.
I actually thought that that was a virtual background because like it looks so good and
Oh,
organized. But
thank you.
that's a real that's so
I
nice.
handcrafted it carefully, but yeah, it's a real
You're
background.
surely a creative person. We can see that. So, I like there's, I know that, you're doing a lot of content creation and we want to dive deep into the conversations of more time every day. But before that, you were an ex-PM at Salesforce and there's a lot of audience who are international students. So they would like to hear, how did you land your job in this premier institute? So if you can guide them on that.
I it was it was a lot of luck, um, a little bit of talent, and just really good timing. I've written a lot about, just the journey of
Right.
getting an internship, getting into Salesforce, a life at Salesforce. Um, so the entire Salesforce process really just took 10 days. And it's kind of anticlimactic in some sense. And I know other students also face this scenario where you're working for months
Yeah.
trying to get an internship and you're applying to companies and sending out resumes. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then that one email comes through, which changes everything. And
Yeah.
that's how it was for me. So I got an email from a recruiter from Salesforce even after they rejected my application 6 weeks ago. And
Wow.
then that email, I remember when I got that email, I was walking towards the mud building in Columbia some afternoon after lunch. And I saw the email and you feel this rush of emotions that, oh my
Yes.
God, what's happening? And within the next 10 days, I got the offer. There were a few rounds of interviews, and I got the offer on April 1st.
So what's your advice on that then? Like networking, like what worked for you? What do you think? Obviously timing and everything, but these are things that we can't control, right? Like, but for the
Yeah.
audience, what's that they can do right to get there?
Um, I, as much as it's hard to do this, I would try to focus on the long game rather than the short game.
Hmm.
A lot of people send out way too many generic templated messages to
Yeah.
a bunch of people, hoping that the response rate is hoping to play the quantity game. If I
Right.
throw enough darts, something's going to stick.
Right.
I would hope that to truly stand out, that you can start playing the long game of thinking about um, who do I really want to start building relationships with? And
Yep.
instead of expecting them to have a call within the next week, expect a call within the next 6 weeks. So you're spending the first 4 weeks just building that relationship with them, and then eventually asking them for a call and standing out. In my case, referrals worked really well, meaning um, I think I was more lucky in finding or getting attention from people who were more generous in giving their time. Um, and I had calls with some, yeah, I had a lot of calls. Some of them went into a referral, and out of the referrals, I got probably 3 or 4 interviews. Um, I have never had something work that did not involve a referral so far, meaning just applying to the company and waiting for them to get back.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I would recommend at least having it in the back of your mind that the people you're reaching out to, this might not be the last time you'll reach out to them.
Yes.
So instead of thinking about just the next 6 months and I want to get an internship, think about the next few years that you'll be spending in the US
Yeah.
and how you can start planting these seeds from now itself.
So maintaining the long term relationship is the key instead of, and I know, right? Like some people reach out to me for referrals, and it's almost like, they are like obviously directly jumping to, asking for jobs and everything. And it's almost like, I mean, first introduce yourself. Like, just tell me, what you are. I mean, as a person on the other side of the table, I always feel that. And they'll follow up, like 10 times, 20 times, 15 times. But these things take time, as you said. Like, sometimes it takes 4, 6 weeks. So, I think definitely for all the students who are looking for a job, internship, trying to network, this is a very good advice. Definitely.
Um, yeah, and I feel like I'm a lot more smart when I'm writing than when I'm speaking. So I have tons of, I'm actually relaunching my new website in about 3, 4 days. And the new
Oh,
website has about 10 guides. Like guides essentially are my really long articles that I've written in the past on all
yeah.
these different topics related to career education and so on.
Right.
And I'm also currently writing a short piece on how to ask for help
Wow.
effectively,
Yeah.
meaning the unwritten rules of getting really high quality help.
Right.
So I feel like for someone who's watching this, check out the things I've written and other people have written and try to follow that. But
And
yeah,
they're on
just
your
get started.
website, you said, right? You're going to post that on your website?
Uh, yeah, I can't really access the chat, but if you could mention the URL for the website.
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Yeah. Okay.
It's the new URL is curiousmaverick.com, but at this point it's kind of like if you go there you'll just see it's under construction. But once it's launched, you'll see all the resources there.
Okay.
So I would
Uh,
just recommend check it next week, not now.
okay. Okay. We can definitely do that. And I think I'll share one with the live stream. So, yeah,
Awesome.
that's great. So, now coming to your amazing journey of your solopreneurship, like how was that transition, um, as a person who always makes conventional choices and has very less appetite for risk? I would definitely ask you, how did you do this, like quitting the job and getting to this, like what made you do it, yeah, and all your emotions.
Well, okay, first of all, you started this. You and Jatin started this
Yeah.
Fireside Chats series where you're getting people. and
Yeah.
you're doing something very unconventional. So I would not call you conventional at all. And I'm seeing some chat up here, so I just wanted to say hi to Roshni. Thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot. And Prithvi, thanks so much. Um,
Thanks,
and
guys.
Harini, yes, all of you guys who's on here, Harini, Yash, Padma, Vidya, and so on. So, responding to your question, it's funny because on the new website, the About Me page, I was thinking
Yeah.
about what to write there for a while.
Right.
And then I realized the funny thing is when I kept the name Curious Maverick, but I kept the name when I was 16 years old, when I came across the word Maverick for the very first time,
Oh, really?
probably in some novel that I was reading. And then I thought, damn, that's a really cool word. I'm gonna have to use that somewhere. So I kept the name because of that. I didn't even understand the meaning fully, but I feel like I've almost grown into the name over the years, and in taking a slightly more risk than an average person might have taken.
Right.
Um, and quitting my job was honestly the easiest decision that I've ever had to make, and the best decision. It was so easy because I had been wanting to do that for more than 1.5 years. So when it happened, it just seemed like, oh, it's like, coming home after a really long ride. It
Okay.
feels right.
Yeah.
But getting to the point where I could quit was the hard part because as an immigrant, I'm
Yeah.
sure you know of all the restrictions that you have.
Yeah.
And I can't go too much into that part right now, but I will be sharing a really long story of what happened once I get my O1 visa, which is in process right now.
Wow, wow, definitely. I'm also very curious on that visa, so I'm definitely going to catch up on that post.
Of
So,
course.
yeah, but I mean, I'm sure, like, yeah, obviously, you found your calling, and a lot of people struggle with that. They are stuck in that job because maybe you don't know what you want to do next and everything. So I'm sure when you share your journey, it's going to be very inspiring for people to look for that. So definitely thank you for that. And now let's talk about your it's called More Time Every Day, right? Like, is that like a program, or what is it? I mean, it's so I don't know. I mean, it's so simple, but at the same time, it's so intriguing. Like, it immediately generates that curiosity. Okay, what is it?
Um, More time every day is the output of a conversation I had with my mentor Rajesh. It's a course. I
Yes.
needed a name for my course, and my course was called Mind Like Water, which I still love so much the name. But Mind Like Water is a registered trademark,
Yeah.
so I realized I can't use that after the first cohort. Um,
Okay.
and we needed a new name for the course,
Yeah.
and Rajesh asked me on a call, okay, so what do you think your course is really helping people with? And I said something on the lines of, I think it gives people more time back to do what they really love to do if they
Mm.
set up the system right. So that's where he said, okay, so how about more time every day? It's so simple, everyone understands.
Mm.
Um, Actually, I ran two cohorts of my course. It's a
Yeah.
cohort-based course, and it was a new thing for me.
Mm.
I wanted to launch a course, and just the stars aligned well last year. Right now, though, I'm pivoting it just like you pivot a product and startup. I feel like it began as a cohort-based course, but right now I'm seeing a much bigger potential in the market as a whole for helping companies and small teams with setting up systems, which is why I got certified as a Notion consultant. And it was a pretty long process, but I'm really glad I did it because there's only a few people in the US who are certified. So it certainly adds that level of authenticity to your experience. And I'm partnering with someone to soon set up a venture around this where we can start consulting with startups, small teams, in helping them almost like bring order to chaos, remove all the inefficiencies in how they operate. Um,
Okay.
and then set up new systems so it's like a well-oiled machine. And Notion is extremely powerful in doing that.
Okay. So Notion is like a tool that basically helps you kind of like organize.
Oh, okay. I guess for the audience who don't know what Notion is, I like to think of Notion as Lego blocks. I've said this many times in my course.
Yeah.
So think of one tool where you can create anything from a to-do list to a Kanban board or
Okay.
a bullet list to a relational database, all in one tool. And everything is just one forward slash command away. So it's like Notion gives you all these individual blocks and a
Mm-hmm.
canvas, a white page, and you
Right.
can create anything you want on top of it. So in some ways, you're like an artist in front of this white canvas and you can build whatever system you want. So it's a productivity software in simple words.
Wow, I think that's going to help a lot of organizations, especially the fast-paced ones who struggle with it. Where should we prioritize? What should we do? So, I think, wow,
I
that's
hope
something
so.
to break through. Yeah, definitely. So, who should enroll in the course more time every day? Like, or what has been your like experience? Who has been enrolling? What's the audience like?
Uh, I, as I said, I'm pivoting from the course into this new venture
Right,
and helping small teams over individuals.
right,
But my two cohorts combined had about 50 plus students, and honestly, it was all over the place. But people in the knowledge work and tech sector. So many founders, which was
right.
surprising. Um, there was an investor. There were many engineers, many program slash product managers, um, and there was even a educational psychologist who was there. So
Wow.
definitely, like it ran the gamut of the type of people who could join this course, which was really nerve-wracking and also surprising because yeah, there were a few people who I was too scared to teach almost because you feel like they set the bar really high. So if I
Yeah.
don't teach to that quality, then I would probably disappoint my students. But I feel like the second cohort, I implemented a lot of techniques that I learned from the first cohort. I
Yeah.
also wrote a really long article on this called 10 Things I Learned from Running My Course. And I think it paid off well.
Oh, nice. And like, how did you design this course? Like, did you have some advisors on board? How did you think through
Well,
this?
well, we didn't. I, I guess you could call them advisors. It's, labels, but Maven is the company on which I've hosted the backend, and
Hmm.
Maven has this incredible course accelerator program. So
Hmm.
essentially, you enroll. Back then, it was a 6 week long program. In 6 weeks, they'll teach you the most important pieces of building a course from scratch. So
Okay.
without Maven, I could not have launched my first cohort that quickly within 6, 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, the second cohort, I'm really good at taking notes
Yeah.
and reflecting on what went well and what didn't. So one thing that I'm so thankful we did was after every class in the first cohort, me and my coaches and my team sat down and we would write down feedback on what went well, what could have gone better, any ideas for next time. And we wouldn't just leave that. We would keep looking at it during the course to see what can we implement. And because we took so much notes throughout the course in terms of feedback, before the second cohort, I just sat down and looked at all of them and tried to see what can I incorporate from this. So
Mhm.
my like advice to anyone across the world that would like really help them in their life is taking really good notes and actually taking time because when you're writing, what you're really doing is you're thinking on paper.
Right.
One of my most favorite quotes when it comes to writing is by William Zinsser, and he says, writing is thinking on paper with clarity. So that's why I think everyone should be writing more.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of like, writing on paper and it's just, it's sometimes it's weird because when you're in a corporate setting with, 30 people and you're the only one scribbling notes, but even it helps me, kind of to get more clarity and then you can reflect back on what you learned. So
Hmm.
definitely, again, a very helpful advice.
Yeah, I see that one LinkedIn user said, or I can't see the name here. It says I use Notion for everything note taking. Super good UX. Yeah, I use Roam Research and Notion as well, but I'm more of a champion of digital note taking and not
Hmm.
taking notes on paper, which pros and cons.
Right. So, if someone wants to get, certified as a Notion consultant, so like, what did you follow? Like, is there? study path, or is there like, or are you gonna write about that also on your website? Like how to go about that?
Oh, I think Notion has a pretty good process set up. You just have to, yeah, there's an application form, an exam that you have to write,
Right.
and then a really long application form, and then they'll make you do a week-long take-home exercise of sorts. Um, and the funny thing is this, because I've been using the tool for almost 3 years, it's kind of second nature to me in terms of all the features.
Okay.
So I think it really just boils down to if you've been using it for a long time and you know
Right.
all the features that it offers and how to use it,
Right.
the entire process is not, it's exhaustive and takes time, but it's not difficult. I mean, I didn't find the process to be difficult. Um,
Wow.
I just found it to be really long. That's all.
Nice. So, if anyone again wants to be an ocean consultant, and I actually read your post, right, where you posted LinkedIn, and there were so many comments of people asking, and especially coming from the tech world, and I'm sure a lot of us, don't know about that. And there were a lot of comments like, what is it, and all of that. So, I just decided let's cover it in this chat. So another question is about your book, Admitted, right? I think it also gained a lot of viewership and a lot of people bought it. And I think it was one of the bestsellers, if I'm not.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's on Amazon India, it's been a bestseller. It's like it's a bestseller right now if you go and check it,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
stays there for a few months when the admissions period is at its peak and people are buying it, and then
Right.
it goes down because it's just based on number of sales.
So it's about, I know it's like an end-to-end guide to kind of, for someone who wants to come to US for the masters. But if you could give a brief summary of what it is, and when did you launch it, by the way, the book?
I launched it on August 23rd, 2020. So it's been over 1.5 years at this point. The book is, yeah, I would say it is an all-in-one, really fun illustrated guide for
Mm-hmm.
someone who wants to study abroad. And really, the book is kind of like a key that, so when people purchase the book, what they're really doing is entering this bigger community because we have a Slack community where people who get the book can join that. It's a
Oh,
private community. And they also get a ton of resources on top of the book in the form of a Google Drive filled with like SOP samples, resumes, list of scholarships, and so on.
wow.
So most, if you think about it, when you buy a book, that's kind of the end of a process. You don't
Hmm.
really talk to the author, you don't talk to other people reading the book.
Right. Right.
But with Admitted, I feel like the unique part is that the journey just begins when you get the book. And I'm quite happy with how we've set up this like entire kingdom around the book that people can get access to when they enter the gate. Um, yeah, but the book itself it's like every step in your admissions. I'm assuming you came here for your master's,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Say,
So if you like really think back to all those days of writing SOPs and choosing
yeah.
universities, if you had a book next to you that kind of walked you through the process step by step, gave you good advice, and also is like a friend talking to you, how would that feel like?
Right.
That's how Admitted. That's my vision for Admitted.
Wow. Again, a very helpful advice for everyone who's tuning in from India or would listen to this recording. So, I think there's a question that we should address before I proceed. What industry or jobs recognize Notion certification?
Um, Honestly, I can't tell you in terms of industry because I'm just getting into it myself.
Right.
Um, but I can tell you that I mean, Notion is valued at over $2 billion. And I don't know the number because they haven't published this, but I'm gonna assume that the number of users is in the 30 to 40 million. So it's certainly, I would be surprised to find a company that does not know the tool. Um, so I feel like the next wave of startups or anything that was founded in the last 6, 7 years, any company,
Mm-hmm.
they would heavily recognize Notion as a tool for setting up systems because Notion also became popular in the last 4 years specifically. I don't know about the industry, but I would, yeah, I would think any like less than 10-year-old company is going to recognize the Notion certification as something that's legitimate. And I can tell you that there's a lot of incoming requests for Notion consultants right now.
Wow, that's awesome. So I hope LinkedIn user, because I can't see their name, it answer your question. So we'll proceed with the conversation. I mean, this is a last question, and I think it's a personal question. Um, what are the challenges that you faced in this entire journey for setting everything up? And I personally feel that, according to the stats, 70% of especially women face imposter syndrome. Did you face it any point of time during your journey? Like, and if you did, how did you overcome it?
Um, yeah, I mean, the short answer is a resounding yes, I did and I do. But one thing I've realized is it doesn't, it's not helpful to suppress the voice that's the imposter syndrome, meaning the voice that's telling you that I don't think you can do this. This is out of your level. Maybe you should go back to where you were. I feel like one thing I've realized over the past, especially 1.5 years, is as long as I have, so it's like I'm almost training this other voice inside my head that can respond to this more cynical, less positive voice,
Yeah.
then I'll be fine. And one of the really long pieces that I would be posting soon on my new website is an article titled How I Went from Self Abuse to Self Love. And it's just a really
Yeah.
honest journey of how I think I cultivated a positive voice. Because right now, I still have this voice. Sometimes it like almost bubbles up and says, I'm really scared. I don't think I can do this. But then the moment that voice comes up, there's this other voice that responds and says, actually, let's look at the facts right now
Yeah.
and let's see the things that you've already done. So, given the history, I actually do think you can do this. So, the voice of more reason or the voice of logic, I feel like as long as people are aware of the different voices in their head and understand where each voice stems from, then it doesn't matter if you have imposter syndrome. You will figure it out.
Wow. I think that's some powerful advice. And I also feel that this could be the end of my questions to you. I think there's another question by a user. What other certifications do you recommend, especially in product?
I would assume that means product management. What other certifications do you recommend in product management? Hmm. I don't know if I even recommend a certification for product management. I recommend working on projects and products for product management.
Yeah.
Um, I think what really helped me in getting my job was actually working on projects with companies. Thankfully, my major at Columbia was quite flexible. I worked on at least three different projects in those few semesters where I worked with a startup or a company in a team of 6, 7 people. So I actually had stories to tell when I was interviewing with companies. I feel like that's more powerful than a certification. But that's just I feel like I'm almost not qualified to give advice on product management because it's been so long since I prepared for it. And right now I'm kind of out of touch with that part of the world.
That's so awesome. So, I think if there are any other questions, please type in. But thank you so much for taking out time. I know you are juggling between so many things, so I really appreciate your time um,
Thank
and
you.
sharing everything with our audience. And I think that's really powerful information that you've given us. I have learned a lot from you personally in this session. So, really, thank you for coming. And we would be hosting such sessions in the coming days. And, I personally want to do like one every month. So please subscribe to our channel, follow our page, and we are also going to share Sondarya's new website on Databuzz whenever it gets launched. So Sondarya,
Yeah,
please share with me on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you'll obviously have a post, and then we can
I
share
will.
with as well.
Well, thank you so much. I feel like, I said yes to this more than anything because you guys are trying to bring out voices and you're doing the heavy lifting in helping these stories reach the light. Um, and I think that's really commendable. And especially, I love the focus on women entrepreneurs. I'm not gonna call myself an entrepreneur right now, but I feel like I'm definitely on that path.
Yeah.
So I think really kudos to you on setting all of this up and making this possible. And anyone who's watching this who stayed until now, you guys have a lot of patience, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, people. Thank you, our audience, for attending. Hopefully, you'll give us this love in all our fireside chats. And Pooja, please attend our future fireside chats as well as an audience. We would really like you there. So,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. So, I'm going to end the stream. Bye, everyone.